Reborn for a lifetime, Beixi returned to the game and became a cute mechanical engineer named Xiaoluoli. Double-barreled heavy artillery, humanoid loli summoning beast, domineering golden Gatling one-person subverts the entire era. I want to recreate the glory of mechanics. This is the era of machinery, and it is also your era to all mechanics players. Keywords of the novel. Machine Age of online games with no pop-ups, complete collection download of Machine Age of online games, latest chapter reading of Machine Age of online games. Chapter 1. 2 years. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 2 years 5 a.m. Beixi woke up from a nightmare again. In the dream, I returned to my previous life and was deeply stabbed in the heart by Mo Tianqing's knife. The despair and heartache of that moment remain unforgettable to this day. As if engraved in her bones, this is an indelible memory that constantly reminds her not to forget the hatred of the previous life. My whole body was trembling, and Beixi was curled up under a blanket. My head was deeply buried in the pillow, crying silently. People betray and become estranged, even their best friend is tragically framed. She was defeated, completely defeated. I even risked my life. In the previous life, Beixi enjoyed the satisfaction brought by games and was blinded by glory. As the first wizard of the Karen's empire, she stands at the peak that ordinary players cannot look up to. With power in hand, they began to act recklessly and gradually forget their true selves. I easily trusted the villain and also sacrificed my life. This is a painful lesson. Everything started with her, so she had to end it with her own hands. Fate brings Beixi back to the age of 16, carrying memories from the previous life and starting over again. But in the past 2 years, she has started playing a career in life. In 2 years, many beginners entered the game and then upgraded to leave the novice town. She was the only one who stayed in the town for 2 years, injecting experience into the experience bottle once, always stuck at level 30. She spent every day and night in the boring forging. She wants to cut off every thread that intersects with Mo Tianqing in the previous life. She is just an ordinary person, and if she wants revenge, it's not enough to just cut her head and show off in the game. The prosperous era is too complex. When the currency system is activated, this is the battlefield where major figures compete. She has no power, and she is unwilling to submit to others. But if she were to create a force, there would be no funding or manpower for development in the early stages alone. When they first entered the game, Beixi contacted guild giants who had some strength in the later stages of the previous life, but they were unable to place this bet on a mechanic and were still female players. Beixi was rejected several times and didn't want to expose too many cards. After much consideration, she has a 2-year buffer period, during which various players are exploring, and she can rely on her previous life experience to work hard in her career. In this way, she can at least have a source of income and lay a foundation for the future. Thinking of the current difficulties, Beixi closed his eyes and gave a bitter smile. At that time, in the game, I was at the peak of my career, and many factions came to me to seek cooperation. The result was just because he said, "Believe me." She gave up all her thoughts. Otherwise, how could she end up like that? Biting his teeth, Beixi felt an indescribable regret and remorse in his heart. Despite being young and reckless, I was blinded by love. With such wild thoughts, the sky gradually brightened up. Beixi looked at the time, got up and had a casual breakfast, then went out for a morning run. Because I was reborn 2 years ago, many things have changed. Beixi doesn't want to lose anything or miss anything again. She wants to become stronger not only because of her technical strength, but also because of her inner strength. These 2 years have honed her character, and the passion for revenge has slowly begun to settle. She became more calm and self-disciplined. After running back, Beixi cleaned the room and living room. Because my parents have been away these days, there is currently only one person at home, Beixi. I checked the current time and it happened to be 8 o'clock. After finishing his work, he went into the room and took out his helmet. Beixi doesn't want to spend too much money at home, so the helmet he bought is the lowest end. Anyway, she doesn't need any performance now, as long as she can play. I entered the game, but it was still the forging room that was offline yesterday. In the rudimentary small room, sparks flickered in the stove. Various materials and drawings are scattered on the stone table. Beixi flipped over the materials on the stone table. Identify the items needed for forging today one by one. For 2 years, 2/3 of the time was spent in the forging room, and 1/3 was spent mixing dungeons and mines. So, the past 2 years in Beixi have been very dull and boring. However, she doesn't care about these either. It's been so long, those people who should be 70 are already 70. There can no longer be any intersection. Level 70 is a gap that many players find difficult to bridge in the age of prosperity. The difficulty of career breakthrough missions makes many ordinary players complain. So much so that now most players are stuck at 69 and unable to upgrade. The world before and after level 70 is completely different. After level 70, players will welcome new maps and many undeveloped dungeons. There are also numerous activities and activity replicas. The most important battlefield in later generations is also one that can only be participated in at level 70. Battlefield is one of the main sources for players to gain experience, crops, weapons, reputation, and more in later generations, and players are mainly focused on the battlefield. However, soon after, some people began selling strategies that broke through the 70 mark, almost at sky-high prices. Anything of value in the game can be hyped up to a price that even ordinary players find difficult to look up at by some malicious people. Most players only upgrade after a few months when the game's expansion pack is updated and the difficulty decreases. However, players with good skills can get by on their own. So, currently there are not many players stuck at 69. Oh no, I forgot I didn't have any silver pyroxene. Beixi rubbed his eyebrows, feeling a bit regretful. I was a bit annoyed after being stimulated yesterday and kept forging equipment. As a result, not only did my proficiency not improve, but I also lost the stone I planned to use for a week. I have no choice but to dig again, Beixi sneered helplessly. After packing up the materials, I lost a silver coin to the NPC and continued to use it. I ran towards the mine hole with enthusiasm. Although the game has been running for 2 years, its popularity has only increased without decreasing. Although it is a low-level map, the mine cave is still filled with people. Although Beixi has come many times, he is still amazed by the scene in front of him and cannot say anything to describe it. The rhythm of being trampled to death is also when the little monster brushes out. Beixi looked at his small body, then at the large army in front of him, and finally turned his head and silently returned. I used to train as a pharmacist, with a high-level card, and it was initially provided by the guild. I'm not pursuing a career in life either. I've been busy upgrading dungeons all day, so it's already good to reach the advanced level. I don't have to worry about upgrading materials. Now Beixi is a single-player card-living profession, and it is probably only those players who rely on their own livelihood can understand the bitterness. Returning to the small town, Beixi pondered and connected with Eternal Glory. Brother, do me a favor. You little girl also knows how to contact me. After a month of not contacting me, I thought you had disappeared and were ready to go into hiding in the mountains. Listening to the man's words, Beixi knew that the man's expression must be unhappy at this moment. He. Unconsciously, he chuckled a few times, and Beixi felt a bit embarrassed. I spent almost a month in the forging room, and my voice was also turned off. Not to mention contacting, finding someone is also a problem, and no wonder the usually carefree man is a bit angry. Tell me, what can I do for you, brother? Hearing the man's words, Beishi's heart warmed with an indescribable emotion. Eternal Glory was known to oneself in the previous life. He is the first shield armor in the entire server, and he taught many of his competitive skills in the later stages. Moreover, he is known for his lecture style and has credibility. Although I was not in the same gang in my previous life, I did not hesitate to stand up and defend myself after the incident. At this point, Beixi willingly called him brother. Even if reborn for a lifetime, it's the same. I need high.grade ore, a lot of high.grade ore. How much do you want? 5,000 yuan. Beixi gritted his teeth and still counted. I'll go. Are you planning to promise your brother with your life in the future? Beixi swallowed these words for a moment. Brother, what do you want me to do with my future sister? Law. In their past lives, Eternal had a wife, and the two were known by many players as the most compatible couple. This. I will pay the price, a hidden gold shield. The dark gold shield. The man was startled and then frowned. Who did you go to rob? No, Beixi was impressed by the other party's nonsensical ideas. I have equipment blueprints and advanced minds, and I can improve my proficiency. Then I can craft shields. Not to mention dark gold, even more top-notch ones can be crafted. The voice turned and the man opened his mouth. After a few seconds, he asked dryly, what level did your forging skills reach? Grandmaster. Master. Damn it, you beast. Even the man couldn't help but curse. Master, it's only been 2 years since the game was launched, and there have been people there. Master, what is this concept? Guide to Food and Culture 1. Shuangwen, Chinese second language, lacks logic and lacks rigorous data. If you want to see the orthodoxy, please go next door. Give the comments section a pure land, don't affect your, my, and his mood. 2. The female lead article has a macro background, with the kind of writing that even the author may forget to bury any clues. It's not a romantic online game novel, so there may not be much reading about dating. I didn't see it later and just said that women are stronger and men are stronger. I can't stand it anymore, can I? I don't know what to say, maybe the story is too long to keep you. But for the sake of you, me, and him, leave a pure land in the comments section. Thank you very much. I see many people saying they hate glutinous rice and hate male leads. Everyone has a story in their heart. The character Nwomi was not written with the intention of showcasing the female lead's prowess. In the chapter she came out, she described that she would be a queen in the future. I want to express that many brainless female leads in the novel's female lead camp can gradually become female leads in the lives of others. The Granlin story, presented separately, is also a story of a novice rising to become a queen. Perhaps I didn't grasp it well when writing, glutinous rice will grow, not everyone is born strong, so don't easily dislike it. 4. This is an article opened a few years ago. If you have only recently started working with holographic texts, mechanical, and resurrection memes, it may look awkward, and the background setting is also affected. It's a very old article, it's not finished yet, and I also want to hit my own palm. Alright, ignore punctuation, data, some awkward points, and logic. Wishing you a pleasant reading and a touching heart. If you write poorly, there is always something that can keep you. Guild, dungeon, competition. Fight, glory, faith. The mechanical age never speaks of defeat. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Garbage occupation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Garbage occupation. In the previous life, someone once calculated how long it would take to upgrade one's professional proficiency in life. If you are a professional life player, from the start of playing the game, it is entirely supported by the guild, at least for 3 years, and at most for 4 years. The difficulty of upgrading to a prosperous life profession is extremely difficult. Firstly, the materials required for proficiency upgrading are very extensive. Low-level materials only require a bit of proficiency, while advanced materials are difficult to find, let alone special materials. The upgrade of each level of life profession is built upon a massive accumulation of proficiency. Secondly, when improving proficiency, one also needs to consider one's character. Some players without RPs may not necessarily achieve any proficiency even after 10 attempts. Even in games, this kind of thing is still a scoring talent. So, for now, the highest level of life players in the game are only high level, and they are still offered by major guilds. It can be imagined that when experts like Eternal Glory hear Beixi say these flippant words, it is understandable to burst into profanity on the spot. Little girl, are you lying to your brother? This kind of thing is not a joke. What are you deceiving me for? I originally planned to charge for a lower level this week, but yesterday RP was not good, and I smashed all the materials and didn't fully upgrade. Beixi smiled bitterly. Not only did he smash all the materials, but he also smashed the food expenses. Yesterday, I was too impulsive. After listening to Eternal Glory, I was extremely excited. No problem, I'll send someone to get it for you right away. After thinking for a moment, he said, please send me the drawings for me to see. Okay, Beixi responded and sent a screenshot. Shit. When I saw the equipment blueprint sent by Beixi, Eternal Glory used the second foul language of today. Eternal Glory has now reached level 73, ranking 9th on the level chart. After level 70, although he transferred to become a shield warrior, the shield he currently uses is still level 60. There is no other reason, there are too few dark gold weapons on the market. The difficulty of new dungeons after level 70 is too high, and although the weapons spawned may also have hidden gold. But so far, the shield that suits him has not been brushed. And this blueprint from Beixi is one of the few equipment blueprints that can be crafted. What does it mean to be able to create? In the heyday, there were many sources of equipment, and the first main source was to use dungeons to defeat monsters and drop them. The second method is to obtain equipment blueprints through activities such as monster hunting or treasure chest opening, which are divided into cultivable and non-cultivable. Equipment that can be crafted often has the property of being upgradable. How to upgrade? Take the blueprint of Beixi as an example, which not only outlines the required materials and equipment, but also provides an introduction to equipment levels. At the end of the drawing, there is also a description of the drawing. Intermediate equipment blueprint, used by blacksmiths to craft equipment, can be used to defeat higher level blueprints in Sirius Valley. This means that there are also advanced equipment blueprints that can create this shield. And how to obtain this advanced drawing is also closely related to the address information provided by the intermediate drawing in hand. In this regard, if you receive a low-level blueprint, indicate its level, and indicate that there is still a higher level hidden in a certain place or NPC, it means that your weapon can still be upgraded. Perhaps it was a low-level weapon at the beginning, only at the silver level, but if it is crafted again based on intermediate blueprints, it will be at the gold level, and its attributes will be multiplied several times. So players refer to this type of blueprint as a craftable blueprint. And cannot be crafted, it means that a weapon created from a blueprint only has one level and cannot be upgraded. The value of the two cannot be compared, and most of the drawings bought and sold on the market now are unbreakable. The Giant Bear of Fanatics. Eternal Glory is a valuable weapon that can be easily identified by its name. In the game, all weapons with NPC names or domain names have a certain source, and their general attributes are not inferior. Neezy, let's take my brother. The dark gold weapon is so tempting, and I have nothing to repay. I can only promise with my own life. Beixi's unilateral effect on someone's brain is speechless. After explaining what materials were needed, I directly hung up the voice. The materials cannot be delivered at the moment. Suddenly, there was nothing else to do, so Beixi had to prepare to go to the Thug Tower and first go to the personal warehouse to pile up unnecessary materials. After looking at the pile of ore and miscellaneous things, I sighed helplessly. There's really nothing valuable. Glancing up to the last row, a circular object resembling a gemstone entered the view. Mechanical heart, 95, Beixi pursed the corner of his mouth. Just a fleeting thought flashed through my mind, and I closed the warehouse, walked towards the teleportation array, and set off towards the Tower of Sofilzerns. Mechanic is widely recognized as a trash profession by all early players. If there is no output and no assistance, the summoning of mecha battle beasts is very frustrating, and the equipment drop rate is also extremely low, which can be considered extremely garbage. However, after being reborn, Beixi chose this profession. There is no other reason. In the previous life, the development of games reached a golden age. At that time, under the skeptical gaze that no player could believe, the latest king on the battlefield, appeared as a starlight. It has broken the points record of all battlefield gods in history, and this time as king, it has never been surpassed again. Subsequently, he challenged the pinnacle of competition and easily won the arena championship with his skills, operation, and gun in hand. Later, after obtaining the heart of machinery, his sharpness could be described as unstoppable. After that, games became the world of mechanics. At that time, no one had thought that as a mechanic, I was Starlight and would rise so strongly. At that time, it was mid-game and he sparked a storm of game warfare, while also being a late star for all mechanics. Nowadays, Beixi is reborn, and as a sports enthusiast, of course, I will not give up such a powerful profession. In her previous life, as a top wizard, she only fought Starlight with me once, and the result was a disastrous defeat. At that time, she was dressed in top-notch equipment. I am Starlight but only have one gun, but it is embedded with a mechanical heart that drives all mechanics and players crazy. Someone once said in later generations, why did an apple fall from a tree and hit Newton's head? Newton thought of universal gravitation. Why does Archimedes derive the law of buoyancy when the crown is placed in water? On the 30th level boss of the Tower of Sofilzerns, there are mechanical heart fragments with extremely low explosion rates. Perhaps someone had exploded shortly after the game started running, and perhaps someone had collected it. But in the end, it turned out that I was Starlight, a player who had been running the game for 3 years before entering the game, gathered all the fragments and eventually became a legend. The mechanical heart fragment can only be described in one sentence as follows. This is the dust buried in history, once collected, it will witness miracles. Opportunities have appeared before, but many people have regretted it. Why regret not continuing to collect, and why regret not being able to discover the secrets within? Just like not everyone can think of gravity when an apple falls to the ground, or derive the law of buoyancy when a crown floats on water. Not everyone can become a legend, because many people can only see the surface of things and never deeply contemplate the essence of things. For 2 years, the North Creek often mixed with the Tower of Sofilzerns. It's good to be alone, or to follow other teams to join the Tower. Perhaps the heavens favored her, and now they have collected 95 of them. The fragmentation rate of mechanical heart is extremely low, and even after brushing for a week in Beixi, there may not be a single explosion. I have also spent a lot of time collecting in the past 2 years, and now I still need 5 to synthesize the mechanical heart. However, Beixi has no reason. The holy heaven is still a towering tower that she cannot shake. She had no choice but to bet on an unknown mechanic. She can only rely on herself. Arriving at the Tower of Sofilzerns, I looked up at this towering tower towering above the clouds, imposing and awe-inspiring, just like the god of war Sophia, standing in the Karen's empire for eternity. How many floors are there in total in the tower? Even Beixi has not been fully painted in the previous life. Each layer is different, maybe it's a maze, maybe it's a group of monsters, or it's a new map. Each layer is full of strange things, constantly changing, and the rewards obtained are also diverse. Then, there is a boss monster every 15 levels, and only by defeating the boss can we continue to brush the next level of levels. Whether it's solo or team building. Anyway, even the lower level players can fight on their own, and forming teams is all for the boss's sake. However, for Beixi, forming a team is the beginning of the trouble. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Endless Tower. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Chapter 3 Endless Tower. Hello, the mechanic over there, do you want to come together? Just as Beixi was about to enter the tower, a strong man's voice suddenly came from behind. Beixi was stunned for a moment. These days, mechanical engineers have not yet made it through, and there are very few people who actively organize mechanical engineers. In the early days of the prosperous era, mechanics were the most difficult to force, with few skills and no equipment. Many mechanics relied on a small armored rhinoceros to reach higher levels. Get the exclusive equipment of the mechanic with good luck, and then get the rare skill book of the mechanic with good luck. So this means that in the early stages of the game, the guy can pretend to be forced to take people flying. In fact, there were also mechanics who were popular from the beginning in their past lives, but as their level increased, their equipment disadvantages and summoning beast attributes gradually expanded. No one has pointed out a clear path for mechanics, so many people choose to abandon this profession. At the beginning of the game, mechanics were the hottest and most popular among girls. Reason: wow, it's been a long time since I met Lolita Her eyes are so cute, exciting screams from a pastor's little sister. Yes, for all professions, regardless of gender, the system will categorize 3 characters based on the player's own needs. Firstly, a year ago, the most popular loli Masadica. Secondly, it is to create characters based on the player themselves, retaining 80% of their original appearance. The third is the payment from the imperial sister and uncle. Among all professions, loli, who belongs to the category of mechanics, is the most adorable. Due to the unpopular profession of mechanics in the past 2 years, anyone who sees someone in the game as a loli or Zhengtai character is basically a mechanic now. However, most players who play mechanics are focused on their character and have nothing to do with PK or dungeons. Let's get together. We're just one person away. The man who just spoke was already looking down at Beixi from a high position. The huge body of the orc warrior blocked all the sunlight facing Beixi, and his pure white teeth almost blinded Beishi's eyes. Me, brother, don't scare their little sister. You're just such a sleazy person, you can't scare them away. Go ahead. The pastor girl walked forward, pushed away the orc warrior, pointed at his nose, and began to curse. How did I teach you? Don't laugh so obscene when chatting up. When you walk out of the zoo at your height, people think you're from that zoo. Don't worry about your height. Look at you, you have a beard on your face. Oh, my goodness, it's all at the level of an old man, and you're still a little creepy fresh meat. Ha 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 Bowsy, let go of that beast and let me come. Then came the voice of a certain man. Beixi glanced and almost couldn't laugh. If the most popular occupation in this game is mechanic, then the archer is the one who makes people want to complain about most. Brother, the steel-armored robot on your helmet is so domineering. The game aims to enrich the entertainment of players. Entertainment props and ornamental clothing began to appear 6 months ago. The archer himself is a little white-faced style, with arms and legs exposed in clothing, and sometimes even chest muscles exposed. His lower body is like wearing horse pants, and it is rare to see men wearing long pants with long bows and helmets always wearing long cones. The image of a female archer is more sexy. Therefore, there are very few female players playing female bows. However, the key point is that this archer used entertainment props, with a robot replacing the awl and resting on the helmet, which is not only unique but also full of fun. Humph! The female pastor looked disdainfully at the male bow and arrow, then turned her head and looked at Beixi with sparkling eyes. Little cutie, sister is a good person. How about taking you to browse tea? Beixi was thinking about what to say to reject them. The other party sent an invitation to form a team. After hesitating for a moment, I still agreed. I have also teamed up with other people before, but there are very few who take the initiative to team up. Most of them are formed because they are in a hurry to brush the tea. The Tower of Sofitel Zener offers a wide range of rewards, but its opening hours are specified. It is open from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day, and will no longer be open thereafter. It must wait until tomorrow to be able to refresh. In the later stages, because no player has ever fully explored the Tower of Sophielzerns, players also refer to it as the Endless Tower. After Beixi joined the team, he realized that these people's names were a bit strange. The captain is a former orc warrior, level 52, named Brother is Wild. Pastor Girl, level 49, the game is called Bowsy without meat filling. There is also an archer, level 51, named Anti-Busy North Nasal Gully. There is still one magician left, a cucumber named Evil E at level 50. Finally, there is the thief, named Leftover Fighter at level 50. Then it's Beixi, the name of the level 30 mechanic game is Beixi. In the entire team, the captain's equipment is still acceptable, while the others, including Beixi himself, are all unbearable. Bebe's sister, novice, right. It's okay, don't be afraid. With my sister around, I'll beat the little monster in the tower to death. Hee 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 hee, Bowsy Girl confidently patted her chest, with an expression of, I promise to protect you to the death. Beixi smiled, there are really everyone in the game, but that's what brings more joy. Little fresh meat, it's been a long time since I last saw it. I'm tired of the fat on my face every day when I look at steamed buns. I want some fresh ones, and I feel motivated to brush my T-shirt. The magician chuckled at Beixi. Cucumber, forget it. The steamed bun girl remorselessly roast. Someone instantly became angry. Don't waste time, okay? Hurry up one by one, we'll have to get the dungeon later. The thief brother reached out his ear, looking very impatient. The Bowsy girl glared angrily and was about to open her mouth. He was slapped back by the captain. Let's go, make a quick decision, he said as he walked up to the NPC. The god of war, Sophie, has left behind this tower of wealth for our Karen's empire. Each floor of the tower is filled with the hard work of Sophie, a warrior from afar. Would you be willing to enter the tower and undergo the trial of the god of war? Yes. The captain chose yes, and in a daze, he had already been teleported into the tower. Maze. Is the first floor a maze? Beixi looked at his brother and he was wild. He was lucky. The maze inside the endless tower is the easiest way to obtain the best quality, of course, the first step is to complete the maze. The first level maze is not too difficult. Let's take a look at the monument, which has a 15-minute rule. If you're ready to challenge, just have a conversation with the tower monument. Each layer of the endless tower is unique, and every time you brush the tower, you must start from the first layer. Sometimes, with good luck, a teleportation array randomly appears and you can choose the number of layers you want to go to. Some players have also complained that every time they brush the tower, they have to start from the first layer, which is very frustrating. However, the rewards given to each layer are very rich. Even if you have complaints, you have to obediently brush for rewards. Moreover, in order to prevent players from feeling bored, the system has deliberately reduced the probability of the same map appearing. So far, there has been no situation where players encounter the same map 3 times. I'll take a drop, puff. Forgive Beixi for not being able to resist. Brother just spoke with a wild and funny accent. Others are used to it. Take a look at the maze structure, fortunately it's just an ordinary rock wall maze. If it's a bit more difficult, it's just a hassle. Fortunately, it's this kind of maze. Last time, the desert didn't directly kill us. Kong Mang looked up at Baby Gogo and wiped away a tear of sadness. They were once sent to an advanced desert maze, where the walls were transparent and appeared every 5 minutes. After disappearing, there was only an endless desert in front of me. They were directly trapped in the middle of the maze for almost an hour. Finally, Bowsy suddenly remembered a special item he had obtained a while ago, which allowed several people to come out of the maze. Yeah, at that time you threatened that even if you let cucumbers and chrysanthemums break, you wouldn't brush tea anymore. The Bowsy girl gave him a sidelong glance. Kong Mang let out a dry smile from the north nasal gully. Isn't this to promote the spirit of our team? I'm thinking for the sake of the team, isn't it, little baby? She began to frown and wink at Beixi. Beixi couldn't help but smile. The expression on the face of the north nasal sulcus and sulcus is really too lewd. I'm starting now. Brother walked wildly to the tower monument, confirmed the challenge after the conversation. There are usually only two types of mazes in the Endless Tower. One is a regular maze, which provides a lot of experience as long as you finish walking. Another type is the image in the picture, which will be transmitted to a new image by touching the corresponding mechanism. In the new image, there will be a large number of trap mechanisms or small monsters, and the final destination will have boss-level monsters waiting for players. So, the rewards in the picture are generally very generous. In the maze, players will be randomly teleported to a certain location, and after completing the maze within a limited time, they can teleport to the next level. White light flashed by, and several people in Beixi didn't know where they were being teleported. Looking at the surrounding black rock walls and countless intersections, a few people began to discuss countermeasures. Well, let's do it the way we did before, the Bowsy girl said as she looked at the others. Sure, I don't think it's possible to see a T-dot picture, the remaining fighter nodded in agreement. The T-dot diagram is a term used by players to refer to the image in the diagram. That's it for now, Xiao's cucumber shrugged casually. How do we get there? Beixi looked curiously at Bowsy girl. Bowsy girl chuckled and took out a map from her backpack. Is this? Although Beixi still had a curious expression on his face, he was startled in his heart. Lindwajia's exploration map. This is an essential masterpiece for maze exploration. It's just that the explosion rate is extremely low, usually it's a random monster explosion. In their previous life, they spent a sky-high price to buy one, and they were lucky. The game only had this kind of thing popping up in 2 years. This is Lindwajia's exploration map, oh, Beixi blinked and looked at Bowsy girl curiously. Don't underestimate this in Xia Beixi. With this map, it's much easier to walk through the maze. Kong Mang smiled proudly at Baby Gugo. Watch it, Bowsy girl said to Beixi Road. Then slowly open the folded map and recite a spell in your mouth. The open map slowly revealed the flat route of the entire maze, and the names of each person in Beixi also slowly appeared on the map. Now they are located in the bottom left corner of the maze, and the red line vaguely indicates a clear path. Impressive, isn't it? I only found out this can be used this way last time I was in the desert maze. The Bowsy girl felt a little proud. Looking at the map unfolded in her hand, the route markings were very clear, but Beixi couldn't help but furrow his brow lightly, hoping that he had thought too much. Let's go, it's only 15 minutes. Beixi followed behind and looked at the joking people in front of him. After some consideration, he decided not to speak for now. She is very familiar with T-maze or maze activities that only occur after level 70. In her previous life, besides the battlefield, maze activities were one of her favorite activities. In her previous life, she was very knowledgeable about all maze diagrams and could be called a maze expert. North and North should follow well, Bowsy girl turned around and said with concern. Well, Beixi nodded and silently followed behind a few people. Lindwajia's exploration map is a special prop. Not only can it be used for maze activities, but it can also be used in other aspects. And it's not as simple as it appears on the surface. If exploration maps can allow players to smoothly navigate out of the maze anytime, anywhere without any obstacles, then this is almost a bit incredible. Although this type of prop has an extremely low success rate, once it exists, players will receive it. In order to balance the fairness of the game, the system cannot make this prop perfect without flaws. Therefore, Lindwijia's exploration diagram has a troublesome drawback. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Maze. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 Maze. Beixi should have been around for about 9 minutes, but they were still wandering in the maze and didn't see the intersection when they left. Instead, they took several different paths and kept circling around. Around and around, the endpoint is all walls. What's going on? Beixi girl looked at the black wall in front of her, which had no exit, and became angry. Yaya, I've been walking for several minutes, following the map and walking again and again. Every time the finish line is a wall, I can't get out at all. I always feel like they've been circling around in place and I don't know how many times they've been circling. Did you see the wrong route? The remaining fighter frowned. What a broken prop, let me walk for so long. Kong Mang couldn't bear it and sat down on the ground, tired and unwilling to move. How could it be? I'm not nearsighted. Beixi said. Beixi sister, let me take a look at the map. The evil cucumber took the exploration map from Beixi, and the red line on it indeed pointed to the current endpoint. Is it a picture? Brother said excitedly as his wild eyes lit up. Impossible. The remaining fighter shook his head and denied, then said, the chart is usually not that simple. Along the way, there were no traps or strange places, and the map could not be triggered. I can't say for sure, said Kong Mang with a pout from the North Nose Go-Go. He really doesn't like to walk in mazes. If it weren't for the reward, what should we do? There's not much time left. The steamed bun girl squatted on the ground, feeling discouraged as she also got tired from walking and kept circling around. It seems that there is really a problem. Beixi walked forward and said to the evil cucumber, show me the map. This was the first time Beixi had taken the initiative to speak since joining the team. Cucumber looked at the little loli in front of him and hesitated for a few seconds before handing over the map. Beixi said thank you and smiled lightly, with 2 dimples faintly visible. Cucumber looked at it and couldn't help but blush. Beixi stared intently at the map, where the red lines pointed to their current location. Looking at the entire map, their current position is in the center of the map. There are 5 intersections around, and when the map reaches the hands of Beixi, the red line once again points out a route. Kong Mang looked at Beishi's concentration and joked, little baby, this is just a useless prop. No matter how you look at it, it's useless. Let them think about going. Come and rest with your brother for a while. Beixi shook his head, placed the map flat on the ground, squatted down, and pointed to a part of the map and said to everyone, take a look. Several people were surprised by Beishi's words. Did they really notice? Thinking about it, they gathered together half believing and half doubting. Have you noticed that the roads indicated by the red line are connected in an I-shaped shape, and all the endpoints we have reached before are connected to form a circle? Beixi pointed to their current positions on the map and slowly drew along with the red line. From the starting point to the end, all the road lines are in an I-shaped shape, and then slowly connected the endpoints that everyone had reached before. According to this, if we followed the red line that appeared on the map now to the next endpoint, then connecting the previous endpoint with the next endpoint would just create a circle. That is to say, no matter how you walk, you can't get out. Really? Exclaimed the Beixi girl in surprise. What should I do? I'm suffocating to death. Kong Mang, the North Nose Go-Go, just wanted to get out of this maze quickly. He would rather keep brushing monsters than be trapped in one place. Beixi looked up at everyone and thought for a moment. Or he said, should we try walking in the opposite direction? Reverse. The remaining fighter raised his eyebrows. This. The Beixi girl hesitated a bit. Of course, it's just my opinion. If you think it's not feasible, you can think of other ways. Beixi was not angry either, and he wasn't their good friend either. It's normal not to believe him. In times of difficulty and danger, people generally refuse to trust strangers and choose to trust their more familiar friends. Oh, let's do it this way. There's not much time left anyway, there's always a better way than not. Kong Mang picked up the map and stood up to start looking for a route. Xiao Bebe, come and help me take a look. Beixi glanced at the Baozi girl and the others, then walked to the side of the North Nose Gully and pointed to the map to explain the route to him. Anyway, I can't possibly say that I know the secret of Lindwijia's exploration map. Just now, I pretended not to know. If I explain to them, there might be trouble again. Lindwijia's exploration map also has another name, called the Explorer of Lies. Don't think this is an ordinary prop. In the previous life, Beixi was also planted multiple times on this picture. Finally, it took a long time to study and understand the temperament of this picture. Although the map doesn't speak, it can play pranks, just like a child's temper. Probably due to the system's malicious fun, this prop will give the owner the wrong clearance route or give the wrong strategy. But what is right is hidden in what is wrong, it all depends on whether the player can discover the details. A few people behind looked at each other, helpless to follow. Indeed, having a solution is better than having no solution, as there is not much time left and we cannot wait for them to discuss countermeasures. In this way, a few people followed behind the North Rhine Gully in North Creek, turning left and right. With about half a minute left, with the efforts of North Creek and North Rhine Gully, a few people finally saw the familiar teleportation array and tower monument again. Oh my goodness, I finally came out. Wow, thanks to little Bebe, Baozi girl said excitedly as she hugged Beixi. Brother walked forward wildly, revealing his white teeth and saying, that's great. Sister Bebe, it's thanks to you this time. Is this prop really effective or not? The evil cucumber frowned. If it weren't for believing in this prop, he wouldn't have spent so much time walking. I don't know either. Actually, you can go to the library to search for information about this exploration map, which should be recorded, said Beixi. Not only is it recorded, but it is also very detailed. Ah. Really? Baozi snatched the exploration map from the hands of the anti-busy North Nose Go, flipped through it a few times, and then said, Sister, I'll go to the library tomorrow to take a look. If it doesn't work, who wants who to take it? After finishing, he angrily took back the package. Last time, it took everyone out of the desert maze. I thought I had obtained the best quality, but I didn't expect to play like this today, causing everyone to keep wandering around. The most important thing is that I feel embarrassed, after all, it's something I took out myself. The more I think about Baozi, the more I feel depressed. Subsequently, under the urging of several people, Brother handed in the task in a wild manner, and the system prompt sound rang in everyone's ears. Ding, congratulations. The team led by Wild has passed the God of War trial, and each person rewards 1200 soul points and 80,240 experience points. Soul points are the rewards obtained by brushing tea, and the amount obtained depends on the player's progress in completing the trial and the quality of completion. Due to the difficulty of mazes, soul point rewards are relatively high. If it is a regular small monster layer, after clearing the small monsters, you can pass the level, and the reward for soul points is only a few hundred points. Therefore, players generally hope to have a higher probability of the maze appearing when scrolling through T. After completing the advanced maze, in addition to rewards for soul points and experience, there are also additional rewards for completing well. It may be a vocational skill book, equipment, or rare items, etc. However, because the maze encountered this time was relatively simple and the clearance time was a bit bad, there won't be any additional rewards. As for the purpose of soul points, they can be exchanged for many useful items and equipment from NPCs outside the tower. Continuing to the next level. Obtained quite a few soul points, and everyone's mood was very good. Beixi gave a faint smile and decided to continue following them to paint the tower. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Full server sensation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Full server sensation, the 45th floor of the Tower of Sophalsons. Oh my, I'll go. Brother, can you handle the monsters well? Hate is on me again. Anti-busy baby Gogo retreated to the back of the team with palpitations and took blood medicine. Bowsy girl casually threw a healing technique back and immediately became full of blood. If you don't die, you won't die. The evil cucumber chuckled beside him, gloating. The remaining fighter looked at the two and compared their middle fingers. Beixi doesn't know whether to laugh or be speechless. A few people have higher levels than boss monsters, and their output can be considered considerable. But they have been fighting this boss for 15 minutes already. Just the evil cucumber has hit the street once, and the most deadly Kong Mang baby has hit the street 3 times. Every time when I was fighting against the boss in the wild, the two of them had no hesitation in outputting. So much so that the monster brushed up with hatred, directly breaking free from the constraints of the orc warriors, running towards them alive and then gloriously crashing down the street. 2 outputs died, and the thief brother kept using his crossbow to output, probably his hands were already sore. Fortunately, there is also a reliable pastor in the team. But the boss's health bar has been stuck at the last one. Drop it and go back. The thief brothers should be crazy. Have you attacked thousands of people? Look at the bronze equipment worn by the thief. Beixi is silent. In this team, the only well-equipped one is brother, who is wild and has 2 silver equipment on his body, while the others are all bronze or suits. It seems that they are all civilian players. If you want me to pull a monster, you should not use chrysanthemums to lure it. My brother is wild roast. Beixi gave a gentle smile and found it very interesting. Orc warriors have 1 less monster pulling skill than human warriors, but their relative self-defense and health have increased. There are many branches of warriors after level 70, and orc warriors usually go berserk, mainly in PK. Because they have 2 racial skills, one is fanaticism and the other is invincibility. In addition, with their own racial attributes, their anti-monster output is also considerable, so they are more popular in later competitions. Another type of warrior is the shield warrior, Eternal Glory, who plays with shield warriors. Players usually call shield warriors shield armor. Give me a good output, can you still go to the dungeon? Look, Bebe has been diligently outputting, relying on her and the fighter for so long. You omit N words below. Just, Bowsy girl, can you still talk a little more? Beixi level is only 30, summoning the most basic summoning pet of a mechanic. Level 1 armored rhinoceros cannot deal any damage to the boss. All of this is because the thief brothers are putting in labor. There is also the called seriousness. In fact, Beixi has been staring at the pink bow on his little rhinoceros head from the beginning. In a daze. Finally, after another long 5 minutes, the boss howled and fell to the ground under the gaze of a group of people saying, "You should have died earlier," and exploded everything on the ground. Let me take a look. The girl Bowsy was the happiest and walked over bouncing with excitement. The boss sold 2 silver coins and a dozen copper coins, along with a silver glove and a wizard's skill book. Wow, it's my skill. The evil cucumber's eyes were shining brightly. Mages can learn any elemental magic. Only magicians who specialize in one element will have selective learning skills. The gloves were given to the thief. Afterwards, Miss Bowsy insisted on giving Beixi a hard work allowance. No. Beixi shook his head and refused without hesitation. It's already great that they can take themselves to the 45th floor. I don't have any output or assistance, I just mix experience and rewards. If you want more money, it won't be good. Take it, if you don't want me, I'll turn my back. The Bowsy girl glared angrily. Beixi opened his mouth and was about to speak when he heard the evil cucumber say. We only walked out of the maze when it was Beishi's sister. Let's take it. Stop grinding and honking, it's not easy for mechanics to get along these days. Brother just slapped Beishi's shoulder wildly. What else can Beixi say? Their starting point is all for their own good, and mechanics are not easy to get by now. Beixi received 5 copper coins and took a look at Bowsy Girl. It's been a long time since I met such a fun and nice group of people. From the moment I choose a mechanic, it means entering a dark world. Whether the dungeon is despised, disliked, or ridiculed. Games are another life. At first, I was not willing to accept it, but more importantly, I remained calm. After calming down, I realized that I could also live calmly. Today is my first time going up to level 45. After being reborn, I chose the profession of a mechanic and was taken up to level 45 for the first time in Group T. Previously, I reluctantly formed myself due to someone else's lack of entry numbers, and the better ones were kicked out on the 35th floor. Thank you very much, Beixi smiled. No matter what difficulties you encounter that cannot be solved in the future, you can come to me, Beixi said to several people. Ha 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 little baby, please don't tease me. Just your little body. If I were bullied, you wouldn't have been crushed by others. Kong Mang laughed heartily, not mocking, but simply being teased by words. A few people on the side also laughed along, but it was not as exaggerated as the North Nose Gully. After laughing for more than 10 seconds, several people from the North Nasal Gully in Gully couldn't continue to laugh. Because Beishi's expression is very serious. Serious enough to make them speechless, almost believing it to be true. This is what you said. If I'm bullied, I'll have to find you, Bowsy approached and pinched Beishi's face, smiling and saying. Actually, it's still a joke in my heart. Okay, Beixi nodded heavily. Later, he befriended a few people and left the team. What do you think? The Bowsy girl looked at Beixi as she left the teleportation array and asked her brother if it was the wild ones. Oh my, don't take children's words seriously. Kong Mang, the North Nasal Go-Go, didn't agree. I think Beixi is serious, said the remaining fighter calmly beside him. Whatever, go ahead and follow me to the dungeon. Brother went wild and didn't even take it to heart. He had already forgotten what Beixi had said. Bowsy nodded and the others left the tower to go to the dungeon. On this day, they met the North Creek for the first time in front of the Tower of Sofilzerns. Their disapproving promise soon witnessed the beginning of a legend, and as a result, changed everyone's life. Neezy, I have finished the things. I sent them to your email. Just as I returned to the town, I received a voice message from Eternal Glory. Okay. Beixi went to the personal warehouse first, took out all the necessary materials, and then went to the mailbox to retrieve the ore. High-grade ores are sold on the market for around 20.30 silver coins, and only special ores can be sold at high prices. Recently, all the money in Beixi treasury has been spent, so when you become a master, you don't have to worry about money. In a prosperous era, although upgrading life professions is difficult, the benefits they bring to players are directly proportional. In the previous life, a bottle of master-level potion was fried into W gold, not to mention levels above the master level. Returning to the forging room, Beixi began forging high-grade ores. Because it was a high-end mine that I found according to my own requirements, it is much better than the mine I used before. Improve proficiency by at least 5 points for each piece, but melting takes more time. Now Beixi is still 3,000 points behind the master in terms of proficiency. I hope that with this 5,000 yuan, I can be promoted to the master as I wish. With this thought in mind, Beixi picked up the first piece of ore and began to melt. All that remained in the small forging room was the crisp sound of tapping metal and the constant sound of system prompts in his ear. Ding, congratulations on the player's forging skill proficiency +1. Ding, congratulations on the player's forging skill proficiency +5. Ding. I don't know how long it took, nor how many high-level ores were smashed, nor how many useless equipment were crafted. Watching the ore in the package gradually decrease and the proficiency gradually increase, until the progress bar is finally filled, the system prompt finally rings in my ear. Ding! Congratulations to the player Beixi forging technique for upgrading to Grandmaster level. As the first player in the entire server to upgrade their life profession to Grandmaster level, they have gained reputation plus 500, 2000 coins, and plus 213200 experience, as well as a special title of Professional Master and Gerald's Hammer, Grandmaster level. The system will make a full server announcement. May I ask if the player's name will be announced? No. Beixi suppressed his excitement and chose to hide. Ding! System announcement. Congratulations to player XX for elevating his forging skills to the level of a master. As the first player in the server to elevate his life profession to the level of a master, the system rewards him with a special title of Professional Master. The success rate of all life professions in the player's guild has increased by 5%, and the effectiveness of items created by all life professions has increased by 5%. The system hereby announces this as encouragement that ding! System announcement sounded 3 times. The entire gaming world fell into an unprecedented silence, and a few seconds later, there was a wave of heated discussions. At this moment, the entire server was a sensation. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Fan Pulling. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Fan Pulling. Players can't believe that there are masters in the game after 2 years of server opening. For some life profession players who are desperately upgrading, this news is like a bolt from the blue. Is it possible? Outside the level 60 dungeon, Green Pepper couldn't recall the system announcement for a long time. He plays the life profession of a pharmacist and has not paused to upgrade his proficiency since opening the medication. I have been stuck in advanced mode for half a month now. Although the guild helped him collect a lot of herbs, when he smashed it, his proficiency still stuck in its original position. For him, this is very disappointing. But after 2 years of opening the game server, there are not more than 100 people who have reached advanced life professions, and he is one of these 100. This has always made him proud, at least proving that his efforts have not been in vain. Actually, I don't think it's impossible. Those on game forums are all bluff. Games are another world, and everyone has their luck. A friend next to him knew that life professions are difficult to practice, but he was surprised to find someone who has already reached the level of a master. Grandmaster level, what does it represent? From now on, that person will be the object of countless guilds vying for, and that person will no longer be short of money in the game, okay. It's a bit jealous and jealous. Luck. How much good luck does a person have in their lifetime? I think this person is definitely not simple, he must have his own way to upgrade. I must find him, otherwise, my level will not be able to improve again. Imagine, in a game with over hundreds of millions of players, being able to stand out in a certain field and rank in the top 100 or top 10, indicating that he must have strong abilities to make everyone look up to him. And today, a suddenly emerging player has elevated his life profession to the level of a master, disdaining all life players below the level of a master. He is far ahead of hundreds of millions of people. Is it just because of good luck? Green Pepper doesn't believe it. No matter how lucky a person is, they cannot achieve such success. He concealed his name, so it's not something he can find just by looking for it. I'll go back and find the president first, Qingjiao said, then took out the teleportation scroll and went back to the guild territory. On the other hand, many players on the World Channel expressed disbelief when they started scrolling. And some players have caused trouble with customer service, demanding a reasonable explanation. Xingshi is a virtual holographic game with real people, and all the movements in the game are controlled by the main brain. It is impossible to cheat using third-party software. However, the player's reaction was too strong, and the number of reports was a bit abnormal. Customer service had to contact headquarters. The internal team that received the message also shook slightly. Subsequently, the technical developers were immediately summoned to conduct a thorough inspection of the player's data to see if there were any abnormalities, and the results showed that the data was normal. After receiving the report from the headquarters, customer service immediately gave all reported players a reasonable response. This debate slowly subsided. "I contacted them," said the sorrowful knight as he walked into the guild's conference room and spoke to the first person. "What happened? Did you ask for the name of that person?" Shishin Tianxia frowned and asked. "They're not sure. They say that player information won't be easily disclosed to others. All of them are useless rice barrels." Shishin Tianxia punched the table, feeling a little angry. The family and Xingshi group are also considered to have a cooperative relationship, and this news will not be disclosed. It's really embarrassing. I inquired about the news, and it seems that the life player is not from any other guild. "I think it could be an idle player," said the Dark Knight sorrowfully. "Why? The difficulty of upgrading to a Grandmaster level is not that easy, as you know. If you are a guild player, only a Grand Guild can cultivate a Grandmaster level life player. If you are a Grand Guild player, we currently have War God Slayer, Eternal City, Supreme Glory, and Holy Heaven. If our guild had a Grandmaster level life professional player, what would you do? I will never let anyone hide my name. This is a great opportunity to attract other elite players to join the guild, and it is an unprecedented opportunity for the guild to develop." God-Killing World leaned back on a chair and slowly said, following the sorrowful thoughts of the Dark Knight. Dark Knight nodded sadly and said, "That's right, so I speculate that this player is an idle player. The top priority is to find him, he cannot be dug up by people from other guilds," sighed Shishin Tianxia. "If only the prosperous side would reveal some information. I will send someone to investigate carefully," said the Dark Knight sorrowfully. "Pay close attention to the movements of other guilds. Yes. Whether it's jealousy, envy, indifference from others, it has nothing to do with Beixi. Now Beixi is struggling to communicate with Eternal Glory. Look at this, girl. That title is so tempting. Come to our guild, I can give you the president. The status of adding the title is really tempting. Even Eternal Glory cannot resist the temptation, and here I want to persuade Beixi to join my guild." Beixi shook his head and said lightly, "Brother, I won't join a guild. Joining a guild means more people will know. At that time, I had to meet that person. This is what Beixi doesn't want to see, she hasn't planned it yet. Ah. It seems that this task cannot be completed." A certain man lowered his head in a voice, and after a while, he immediately said, "I'll give you the shield. I'll go call someone to collect the materials now, and when it's ready, I'll send them to you. Can I give them to my brother tomorrow? I have to go to the battlefield tomorrow." "Hey." Beixi cut off the voice call before he finished speaking. "I don't know if I've been overthinking it, but Eternal Glory has been getting more and more verbose lately. Ding, you have a friend voice call request. There are not many friends in Beixi. After playing the game for 2 years, there are no more than 20 people in the friends column." Beixi looked at the caller and when he saw the name, he couldn't help but pause in his packing of materials. "Caller. Fan. Are you dead?" At the moment of answering the request, a familiar voice came from the other side, with a familiar tone and greeting. "Not really. Eat, drink, sleep well every day, and have a great body," Beixi joked rarely. "You like to be poor with me. Have you been promoted to a master? Well, is it envy, jealousy, or hatred?" The fan rolled its eyes out of her sight and fiercely replied. "Yeah. I hate you so much. When are you planning to upgrade? You told me back then that you would promote me to become a master, but I was waiting for you. Otherwise, playing as a priest now would be meaningless," said Wan Fan seriously. Beixi remained silent for a few seconds and said lightly, "I think it's pretty good now. Upgrading is so troublesome, aren't you just working hard every day to upgrade? Wan Fan was swallowed by Beixi's words for a moment, and then roared, you just talk to me. It's not difficult to be promoted as a master. You've been living and dying for 2 years. You agreed with me when you first entered the game, in one sentence, will you be promoted or not? Fans, people can change. Beixi had his own plan and gritted his teeth before finally saying this sentence. The voice remained silent for a minute before being hung up. Beixi felt a bit uncomfortable in her heart, and no one knew why she was so cautious. She was afraid that taking the wrong step would cause the events of the previous life to repeat themselves. Some people may try their best to change, but Beixi is really scared, taking it step by step, not just to become a master today. She doesn't want people around her to be hurt again because of herself. Wan Fan is a good friend in the real world of Beixi, growing up together from a young age, just like family. In the previous life, because of oneself, the Fan was also affected. After being injured, he was admitted to the hospital and suffered serious injuries both physically and mentally. From that day on, I completely closed myself and never spoke a word again. Beixi feels very uncomfortable now. Looking at the current time, it's almost 6 o'clock without realizing it. Beixi doesn't have much mood to play anymore. After preparing the equipment and materials for tomorrow's production, he went offline. My parents are on a business trip for a week. Looking at the empty house, Beixi sighed helplessly. I can't stand this coldness. Ding dong, the doorbell rang at this moment. Beixi hesitated for a moment and quickly ran to open the door. As soon as I opened it, I saw a cold face. Why? With a ghostly expression on her face, I don't welcome this girl. Lin Jie raised her eyebrows and said, if you dare to say I don't welcome you, I'll strangle you. Beixi blinked and chuckled lightly. How could it be? Miss Lin's visit to my humble abode is too late for me to welcome her, she said, making a gesture of invitation. Lin Jie entered the room and looked at the empty living room. Uncle Bei and Aunt are on a business trip. Well, I'll be back in a week. Beixi opened the refrigerator and took out 2 cans of juice. Lin Jie sat on the sofa, took the juice handed over by Beixi, and said, I think it's necessary for us to have a good conversation. Beishi's body stiffened as he sat down. Looking at Lin Jie's serious expression across from him, he opened his mouth but couldn't say anything. Lin Jie raised her eyebrows, her beautiful face cold and cold, almost freezing to death with the rhythm of Beixi. I just want you to tell me that you were stuck at level 30 for 2 years using the reason of upgrading your life profession. Now that you have been promoted to the master level, why not upgrade? Make money. I can be a professional life player, and you know the situation at home, said Beixi calmly. Just to make money. Yes. Look into my eyes and answer me again. Lin Jie's face became even colder. Yes, Beixi looked at her steadily. Lin Jie nodded, but she didn't get angry anymore. Instead, he looked at Beixi and said, you're still the same, you can't even lie. Beishi's heart trembled and he remained silent. When Beixi lies, his face always remains expressionless and never changes. She can lie seriously by looking into someone's eyes, but she will never show a relaxed expression. Beixi is like this. You can make her bad, but you absolutely cannot let her do things beyond your own principle bottom line. Otherwise, the cat's paws will come over without hesitation. What are you afraid of? Lin Jie suddenly asked. Beixi held the juice jar tightly and stared blankly at Lin Jie. Xiaoluoli, we grew up together from a young age. No one knows you better than I do. From childhood to adulthood, you have always been someone who dares to speak and act. What made you so cautious? You lack the courage to connect with yourself. I have my own ideas. Lin Jie sighed helplessly. The decision made by Beixi cannot be shaken unless she changes her mind on her own. To put it nicely, it means adhering to principles, but to put it bluntly, it means being sharp. Well, I won't ask. But you must remember that I will be your solid support whenever and wherever, and sisters will lift a sky for you, no matter how cosmopolitan. Beishi's eyes couldn't help but turn red. If you don't want it, just make dinner for me. It's been a long time since I've had the food you made. A few years ago, because Lin Jie's father made a fortune in business, he moved to a high-end residential area. Their family did not forget the North family, and they also asked to move with them at that time. However, North father did not want Lin father to spend money, and the family still insisted on living in their original place. The two families have not lost contact for so many years, and their relationship is still very good. After all, brothers from over a decade. Lin Jie glared at her with anger and laughter. This girl didn't even respond with words like, "I'm so touched," when she was so emotional. Okay, if that's the case, it's not Beixi anymore. Alright, this girl is here once in a while. I'll cook something for you. Wait. Lin Jie groaned as she walked into the kitchen. Beixi looked at her figure with a complex and indescribable mood. After the two finished dinner, Lin Jie pulled Beixi out for a walk. Wait until around 22:00 to release Beixi back. As soon as Beixi returned home, he lay in bed and was too tired to move anymore. Going shopping with Lin Jie was a deadly and confusing experience, as I thought of myself being reborn 2 years ago and returning to the game. The original intention of choosing a mechanic was at that time. In order to no longer regret it, end of this chapter. Chapter 7. Crazy Market. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Crazy Market. The next morning after Beixi went online, I received a message from Eternal Glory saying that everything had been sent to my email. Let's make sure to make a shield today, and there's some unnecessary nonsense. Beixi first goes to the warehouse to retrieve the materials that were sorted out yesterday, and then goes to the personal mailbox to put the materials sent by Eternal Glory in the package. Starting today, I will no longer worry about having no source of money. Half a year ago, the game opened up the exchange function between real currency and game currency, and a large number of forces also flooded into the game. In a few months, the new expansion pack will be open, and there will be more players at level 70. That's when the game truly starts. The major forces are probably also rubbing their hands at this moment. After all, the fortress battle is about to start. Beixi returned to the forging room and hung up the title he received yesterday. The unique title of Professional Master is worn by Beixi. The player has a success rate of plus 50% in forging epic equipment, plus 15% in sub-legendary equipment, plus 5% in legendary equipment, and plus 15% in forging special items. This is the benefit of being the first in the entire server to be promoted to the master level. Since this title is unique, Beixi now doesn't have to worry about others being promoted to the level of a master. Because there is no comparability between others and oneself. Having gained a title, the dark gold weapon is 100% successfully crafted, while other master-level forging masters may have a certain chance of failure. Although the chance of failure is small, that chance cannot be underestimated. Every material used to craft a dark gold weapon is extremely valuable. If it fails, it can only be said that the material is valuable and should be crafted and cherished. Then there is Gerald's hammer, master level, user. Beixi. Bound, non-tradable, unique item. This is a hammer used by the founder of forging, Master Gerald, with unparalleled power. All basic attributes of equipment crafted using Gerald's hammer plus 5%. Durability. 1000000, reparable. Beixi doesn't know if the first life player to be promoted to the level of a master in the previous life got this hammer. Anyway, all I know is that I got the title. This hammer is simply a top-notch fighter jet. Adding 5% to basic attributes means that among equipment of the same level, the equipment created by oneself is the best. By increasing the attribute value by 5% on the original basis, the gold level can also have the value of dark gold. Just thinking about it, Beixi is extremely excited. However, I quickly calmed down and focused on crafting equipment for eternal glory. After about an hour of touching, the equipment on hand gradually took shape, and the system beep sounded in my ear. Ding! Congratulations to player Beixi for successfully crafting equipment. You have gained 15 proficiency points. The white light gradually disappeared, and a golden shield appeared. The entire body of the shield is golden. The mysterious golden rune flows with light, and in the center of the shield is the pattern of a giant bear, surrounded by thorns. Beixi took a look at the attributes of the shield. The giant bear of fanatics. Dark gold equipment. The treasure of the fanatic Photorin, with it you will be invincible. Physical defense plus 800, plus 5% special bonus, magic defense plus 500, plus 5% special bonus, intelligence plus 11 constitution plus 20 strength plus 23 agility plus 8 reduce self-damage plus 20% additional skill. Giant bear power. Using this skill will result in a frenzy state, ignoring any spell damage and immune to any mental damage, which lasts for 5 minutes. Cooling time is 3600 seconds premium. If Eternal Glory were equipped with this shield, currently no one in the game could break through his defense. Beixi grants the attributes of the shield to Eternal Glory. 1 minute later, I received a voice call from Eternal Glory. Is the special bonus due to your title? Well, Beixi nodded. The value of this shield is too great, even if the market price goes up by 50,000, it cannot be won. At this moment, Eternal Glory's tone was somewhat serious. I'll make it up to you. Otherwise, you'll lose a lot. There's nothing to lose. You helped me a lot since the game started, and the materials were also collected by you. I just created them. If brother said to provide me with money, the relationship would be distant. Beixi firmly refused, and she never hesitated to be good to herself. Eternal Glory laughed heartily and said, "Little girl, I like what you're saying. But I don't want you to be at a disadvantage either. How about I provide you with any materials you need in the future? On the other hand, if I have any weapons I need to craft in the future, I'll come to you." Hee hee. Beixi nodded, okay. After chatting for a while, Eternal Glory hung up the voice. After all, he is a long person who spends most of his day busy both inside and outside. It's not easy to find time to chat for so long. Beixi took out other materials and continued to forge weapons. Most of the weapons crafted this time are silver level, with a few being gold level weapons recorded from past life memories. The only shield of dark gold is the one that gives Eternal Glory. A lot of materials are needed, and some forging materials are very expensive. Beixi is not planning to proceed with the production. From the beginning of the game until now, the money earned from missions has been used to buy forging materials and equipment blueprints. Sometimes when Beixi runs out of money, he casually builds a silver-level equipment and sells it, then uses the earned money to buy forging materials and equipment blueprints. Fortunately, the materials required for gold-level weapons are currently not very expensive. Beixi has collected several samples before and is waiting for the master to create them 100%. Advanced blacksmiths have a certain failure rate when crafting gold-level weapons, and Beixi is not a life player raised by the Grand Guild, so it is generally not easy to try. Advanced levels have a failure rate, not to mention the 50% success rate of the dark gold level. Put down the forging materials one by one. Beixi only heard the system prompt sound ringing wildly in his ear, and his movements never stopped. I've been busy all morning, almost using up all the materials inside the package. Beixi lay tired on the stone platform, satisfied with the hundreds of silver equipment and a small amount of gold equipment that were added to the package. This is a sign of the arrival of sparkling silver. After tidying up the forging room, Beixi ran briskly to the trading market. A trading market is a place for buying and selling items and equipment. Recently, there have also been auction houses opened by players, but due to various imperfections, players are currently more willing to invest equipment in the market. There are still as many people as ever. Beixi walked up to the NPC and began selectively selling his equipment. First, take out a level 40 glove with good attributes, indicating a starting price of 50 silver coins, and then wait for the players to bid. Xiaoluoli de Xiao is a thief, with a level of 41. I only joined Xingshi Games a year ago. Due to the upcoming high-level dungeon with friends, I came to Beixi today to change my equipment. Upon opening the equipment bar, I was taken aback by the price of the top-ranked equipment, and then I looked at whether the equipment level was 40 or silver. Can't help roast, now players are blind or crazy. A silver glove can be fried to 8 gold this price, and the price is still rising. Generally speaking, silver items with good attributes can have a maximum of 5 gold, while junk gold level weapons can be sold at a price of 8 gold, which is understandable. Big or small flower hearts shake their heads, there are really many wealthy people. However, after some thought, I was a bit curious about what gloves would be priced at this price, so I couldn't help but click in and take a look. Damn it! Xiaoluoli de Xiao went crazy after looking at the properties of the gloves. The inherent properties of gloves are quite good, and at the level of 40, they are considered a small masterpiece. With the special bonus after the basic attributes, the value of the entire glove is different, comparable to the defense of level 55 premium gloves. This attribute is much better than many golden gloves, even if sold for more than 15 gold, it is still worth it. Xiaoluoli glanced at the dozens of gold coins in his pocket, and his first thought was to take them. This glove can be used up to level 60 on its own, which is not an exaggeration. Finally, the gloves were bought by Xiaoluoli de Xiao for 23 gold. The players looked at the removed equipment and sighed. Some even blamed themselves for not bringing more money. Just about to leave, I didn't expect to have equipment listed again. There are also special bonuses, and there are more than one. Brother, there are bonus equipment on the shelves again. Really? Damn it, when I borrow money from someone, I must take one this time. The Supreme Heavenly Brother is setting a dungeon with the brothers of the guild. Upon receiving news from the Supreme Sirius that there were a large number of attribute bonus equipment on the market, the Supreme Heavenly Brother quickly recalled the master-level players announced in the system yesterday and quickly summoned others to rush to the market. Not only Supreme Glory received the news, but also people from other guilds rushed to the market. Equipment with attribute bonuses means that there are also equipment of the same level that can be compared to higher-level equipment. This has driven many players crazy. President, is that the Grandmaster level player? I think it should be related to that title. Send someone to keep an eye on the nearby area and see if there are any suspicious players, said the Supreme Heavenly Brother to the person next to him. Attention was once again focused on the equipment list in the market, watching as each item of equipment with bonuses was put on shelves, with prices rising one by one. Several pieces of golden equipment were placed high on top. There are not many top-notch items, but the attributes that have been added to the junk have become small top-notch items. We must find this player and at all costs, we must dig into the guild, said the Supreme Heavenly Brother in a deep voice. Not only did various guilds come upon hearing the wind, but also many players. On this day, the market is full of many players roast that the map of the trading market was too small, so Xingshi had to step up to improve the auction house and develop a new trading square. Of course, these are all later remarks. Beixi looked at the pile of gold coins inside the package and chuckled. Reborn for 2 years, today is the happiest day. In the future, you don't have to worry about the source of money. You can easily buy any materials you want. In this way, you should be able to craft equipment for yourself. I have been playing the game for 2 years, and Beixi is still wearing a beginner's outfit. I feel heartbroken just thinking about it. Mechanists are really difficult to get by with. Many physical equipment cannot be worn, and there are no top-notch equipment that can be worn by all professions. Fighting monsters in the next dungeon is all about being ravaged. Looking inside the package, there are still over 300 pieces of equipment, and selling them for a large sum of money. After working hard all morning, Beixi felt that it was also worth it. The game time is approaching in the afternoon. In the real world, it's probably noon too. I need to go offline for lunch or my stomach will hurt again. In order to satisfy the player's gaming mood, the ratio of game time to real time is 2.1, allowing players to stay in the game for a long time. If the player's online gaming time reaches 12 hours or more, the system will force the player to log off, which is also to ensure a healthy gaming experience. Sell the remaining equipment and mark the lowest prices one by one. Beixi takes every piece of equipment very seriously. After all, it is the result of her own efforts and cannot lose money. When the bidding is almost done, Beixi is also tired and dizzy. Go straight to the conveyor and exit the line in place. Since noon, the entire market has been extremely hot, and many people speculate that these equipment were created by that master-level player. Such an incredible special bonus made many people envious, and in just a few hours, all equipment was swept away. And this incident has also inspired many guilds to find the player. For a while, the game kept asking around who the master-level players were. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Career Tasks. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Career Tasks. There is something that Beixi has been considering since 2 years ago. At first, although she gave up the opportunity for game level and PK, she lived a dull and boring life in a small novice village. However, there is still something in my heart that I have always wanted to achieve. It can be said that promoting oneself to the level of a master is also to make up for one's regrets. In the previous life, Beixi initially chose to be a mechanic. After playing for a month, the attributes of garbage and the skills of the pit father almost made her collapse. After being persuaded by a friend, I chose a new magician. At that time, I upgraded all the way and watched many players give up the profession of mechanic and embark on the same path as myself, choosing other professions. Beixi rarely likes a gaming profession. But at the beginning of the game, I happened to take a liking to the profession of mechanic at first glance, but the result disappointed me very much. Later, the appearance of Starlight made Beixi very happy and regretful. Mechanists are not as trash as all players think. As someone has said, there are no trash professions but only trash players. At that time, I was a Starlight who despised all players in the Battle of Larma. Thinking about it now, everyone feels excited. Beixi is now at the level of a master, capable of crafting the Battle of Larma. It's just a lack of materials. After going online at night, there are already nearly 200,000 gold coins in the backpack. All the equipment has been sold out, and Beixi has become a little rich woman. With enough funds, Beixi can also buy materials to build the Battle of Larma. However, first you need to equip yourself. There is a task that must be done today. Open the equipment bar and scroll down page by page. Mechanists have very little equipment and are also difficult to explode. It took Beixi a long time to dig through before seeing the shoes and armor worn by the mechanic. The attributes are average, but the price is several tens of silver coins. Although they are all rare and expensive, have the sellers considered selling them? Because Beixi is now a little wealthy woman, she generously bought all the mechanical equipment she saw. Afterwards, Beixi went to see if there were any mechanics selling their skills. The result is only a few books. One is a hatred transfer skill that can be learned at level 15, and the other is an intermediate summoning skill that can only be learned at level 30. They are all the best in the early days of mechanics. Especially hate transfer. The mechanic is an excellent skill for defeating bosses in dungeons to save life. This skill is like the mockery used by warriors to pull monsters. Sometimes when a mechanic's dungeon output is too high, it can attract boss hatred. Generally, using this skill will transfer hatred to BB, who will resist monsters. And there is an 80% chance that it will no longer attract hatred. As for intermediate summoning, it is one of the skills that mechanics must learn. Only by learning this can we summon higher level mechanical beasts. The 2 books add up to around 300 gold. Without hesitation, Beixi bought it and fought for the task. Generally speaking, players can leave the novice town and move to higher level maps at level 30. However, Beixi is an exception. After staying for 2 years, she has already obtained the friend ratings of all NPCs in the novice town. As for the role of NPC's friend rating, once the friend rating reaches 100 or above, it indicates that all hidden tasks and product discounts are already waiving to players. Even learning skills is no exception. In the early stages, due to the low drop rate of coins, the currency exchange system was not activated. It is difficult for mechanics to upgrade and learn skills from NPCs. The mechanics who persist in playing will only return to the novice town after reaching level 30 and completing dungeons under the boss on the advanced map with enough money to supplement the skills they haven't learned. Because some skills can only be learned in novice towns before returning to advanced towns for upgrading. Beixi returned to the small town and found a career guide. After the conversation, learn the skills you haven't learned yet and upgrade them one by one. Looking at the 15 gold lost in the package, Beixi couldn't help but sigh. In the early days, these 15 gold coins were exorbitant, blocking the footsteps of many mechanics. Moreover, I still charged a 3% reduction in learning fees despite being ahead of my friends. Open your skill bar, the first row is filled with BB skills. Intermediate summoning, already covering basic summoning, level 7 iron stone, level 7 killing, and level 1 hate transfer. Next is one's own skills, including level 5 jumping, level 4 bombardment, level 7 shooting, level 6 deceleration, and level 4 penetration. Hate transfer can only be upgraded to a high-level professional guild, so Beixi cannot be upgraded at the moment. However, with this skill, one can basically rely on oneself. In the past, when scrolling through T, it took Beixi almost several hours to grind down the boss by playing 30 layers alone. BB anti-monsters usually need to be summoned again every 5 minutes, and sometimes they still have to rely on their own positioning and output. I feel heartbroken just thinking about it. After solving the skill problem, Beixi took on the job task from the job introducer. Career tasks at level 30 are somewhat challenging. Although the rewards are abundant, players usually team up to fight. Beixi has no level 30 friends he knows, he can only rely on himself. If it were based on the equipment and skill levels of Beixi before, it may still be possible to brush the bosses inside the Tower of Zens in Sofel, but bosses who fight level 30 professional tasks are undoubtedly going to die. If the boss is graded, then the boss in the tower is the elite small boss, and the boss of this type of professional task is the big boss of the elite small boss. Not at all of the same level. It has been several days since Doma from the town mayor's house went to the forest. The mayor is very worried that his son may be in danger. Please go to the mayor's house and inquire about Doma's specific situation. The town is actually not big, and Beixi quickly found the mayor's house. Knocking on the door and entering, the mayor took the initiative to say, "So it's Beixi. Recently, Doma went to the forest and said he was helping me find medicine for my illness. It's been 4 days and he hasn't come back yet." The mayor is almost 60 years old, with white hair and his body is being eroded by illness. He also looks even more decadent because he is overly worried about his son. "Mayor Ziblai, can you be more specific? I can help you find your son." "Hey, I can't cure this disease anymore. But Doma insisted on running to that monster's lair to find medicine for me, saying it could cure me. That monster is the most confusing, and I hope my Doma doesn't have any problems. He is a filial child, and I don't want my only son to have anything wrong. Cough, can Beixi help me bring back my Doma?" Ding, do players accept the mayor's request to rescue his son from the spider's nest? Of course. Beixi chose to accept it, then looked at the mayor and asked, Mayor Xiaoluoli, is there any possibility of treatment for your illness? This is a hidden side quest that can only be easily triggered when your friend level reaches 100. The friendship between Beixi and the mayor has exceeded 200, so as soon as Beixi enters the door, the mayor takes the initiative to chat. Other players wouldn't even pay attention to it. My illness. The mayor lay on the old man's chair, his gaze suddenly widened. How long did it start? I've forgotten too. I'm already satisfied to live until now. It's just that Doma, this child, wants to go to that forest to find some herbs. Don't let anything happen. Otherwise, how can I leave with peace of mind? The old man whispered with tears in his eyes. What kind of herb is it? Beixi looked at him and asked. I forgot what it was. It seems like Doma said that the herb has 7 colors. Oh, I'm getting old and my memory isn't as good as before. If you're willing to help me find the herb, I'll give you a rich reward. It's okay if you can't find it, I just hope Doma can come back. Ding, do players accept the Rescue Mayor's Disease side quest? Yes. Beixi chose to accept it, said goodbye to the mayor, and walked towards the forest. Along the way, I met many new players who were upgrading from slaying monsters. Although the game has been running for 2 years, the number of new players entering the game is still considerable. Just like in the early stages of the game, a bunch of monsters are quickly killed by a large group of people when they are spawned. Watching this situation, Beixi couldn't help but feel a bit nostalgic. I also came here this way back then. The spider's nest is deep in the forest. The more you enter the forest, the fewer players you encounter. A 30-level slag like Beixi is probably heading towards big towns. Occasionally, 1 or 2 can still be seen doing professional tasks. Arriving at the entrance of the spider's nest, Beixi began to summon his BB. Difficult to understand words slowly emerged from the mouth, and a yellow magic circle appeared in front of Beixi. It took nearly 50 seconds for a tall mechanical wolf to be summoned. 50 seconds of summoning time is enough for the enemy to kill Beixi n times. This is one of the 5 biggest pitfalls for mechanics. The summoning time is too long, longer than even a magician reciting spells. Not to mention other professions, a priest can block it and then renew the poison for 50 seconds, which is enough to grind half of a mechanic's health. The BB summoned by intermediate summoning techniques looks more secure than the basic ones. Thinking of the bow on the little rhinoceros's head, Beixi didn't want to say anything anymore. Although the mechanical wolf does not have the furry fur of the monster wolf, it looks much more domineering than that kind of wolf. The whole body is made of silver-white metal, which feels very smooth to the touch. Red eyes are very intimidating. The mechanical wolf has a certain intelligence and knows that Beixi is the master. When it reached its feet, it gently pressed its hard head against the foot of Dingbei Creek. To show one's friendliness, Beixi squatted down and patted its head, saying, "I'll see you later." After that, he walked into the spider's nest with his BB. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. The Spider Queen. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. The Spider Queen. The spider nest is not as bright as outside, and the entire cave is very dim. Beixi walked in a narrow passage, stepping on sticky silk under his feet. No matter how many times he came, he felt very nauseous. After walking for about 2 minutes, I finally saw a spacious place and the North Creek jumped out of the passage. And then waiting for her is a spinning attack. Beixi reacted extremely quickly and dodged the attack. Looking at the direction of the attack, a green spider launched the first attack. The distance is about 2 meters, and I accidentally entered its attack range. The mechanical wolf saw a spider trying to harm its owner, and a flying pounce directly overpowered the green spider, killing 120 drops of its blood. At the same time, it also alarmed other spiders who were sleeping. Beixi looked at the monster, poison spider, level 28, with a health of 6,400. Attack skills. Spinning and venom attack. A bunch of silk attacks hit with a hiss. A jump in Beixi avoids the silk attack, and it appears that there are about 10 monsters in this area now. Quickly use hatred transfer. Player Beixi uses threat transfer, and 80% of the monster's threat is transferred to the mechanical beast. Cooling time of 2 minutes. For a moment, all attacks shifted to the mechanical wolf. And without feeling the pain, it killed the spiders one by one. Beixi stood on a high platform and took out his pistol. Aim a bullet at a large poisonous spider and shoot. Shooting, 1-way attack, deals 80% basic damage to individual targets and has a certain chance of dealing additional damage. Cooldown time is 1 second. Watching the monster's head deal .320 damage, Beixi felt quite impressive. It would be even better if we could have a better weapon. Continue shooting. Because Beixi used hate transfer, now all spiders are targeting mechanical wolves. Various venoms are sprayed onto the silver metal body, causing continuous increase in damage. Beixi threw an iron and stone stayed over. Iron stone. The summoned mechanical beast's defense increases by 30%. Set the status for the mechanical beast, and the poisonous spider cannot break through the defense of the mechanical wolf anymore. A few minutes later, all the poisonous spiders were cleaned up. Beixi walked up to the mechanical beast and fed a bottle of qi and blood medicine. As I have not yet learned the skill to add health to the mechanical beast, I can only use the player's health bottle to restore health to the mechanical beast. Wait for the mechanical beast's qi and blood to return to full. Beixi continued to walk towards the depths of the cave with it. Along the way, everyone and every animal were cleaning up the little monsters, and there was hardly anything explosive. After finally reaching the territory of the Spider Queen, she was blocked by 3 Spider Maidens. Spider Maid, level 30 elite monster. Attack skill with 14,850 health. Wrap and absorb. The health of elite monsters is twice that of small monsters, let alone bosses. After using hatred transfer, Beixi distanced himself and then added iron stones and a state of slaughter to the mechanical wolf. I loaded my own bullets and made a penetrating shot at the target of the mechanical wolf. It's troublesome not to learn the guidance skill now. Mechanical beasts cannot obey their commands to attack the target they want to attack. Through. Deals 100% basic damage to individual targets and reduces their basic defense by 14%, with a certain chance of generating additional damage. Cooling time of 15 seconds. Penetration is a powerful tool for mechanics to brush bosses, and can be considered a divine skill of mechanics. Once the boss's defense weakens, it becomes an object for players to exploit. However, this skill requires a significant amount of money to upgrade. In my previous life, I only reached level 18 in Starlight, and the later levels were almost skyrocketing. This skill can break 65% of the basic defense of wild monsters by reaching level 15, which is also very incredible and enough for players to use. At that time, it was easy for him to single brush level 100 dungeons, because his mechanic was also known as the Single Brush King. The Spider Maid's defense has been weakened by 14%, and the damage caused by the mechanical wolf to her has also increased sharply. She twisted and threw it onto the wolf, knocking out 170 drops of blood from the little wolf. Even if there are mechanical beasts carrying monsters, Beixi can confidently output them. After 3 rounds of bullets were fired, the last maid also fell under the bite of the mechanical wolf. At least it was an elite monster that exploded a few silver coins and a key. Picking up the key, Beixi looked at the description. A silver key can be used to open a treasure chest. It turns out to be the key to the treasure chest, so there must be a treasure chest in the nest or nearby. Lucky enough, a key popped out. Beixi happily led the mechanical wolf into the open passage. In the game, there is a type of map treasure chest that players can learn to unlock by playing a key on a certain monster. The higher the level of a typical treasure chest, the more top-notch the contents are. Ding, you have entered the territory of the Spider Queen. Please be careful, players. The line of sight gradually broadened, and Beixi stopped at the intersection, and the little wolf also stopped walking. There is a throne in front, surrounded by spider webs, but there is no figure of the Spider Queen. Beixi couldn't help but look up at the place directly above his head. At this moment, the Spider Queen was taking a nap on a huge spider web, with 8 thick legs with arm-thick fur moving around. Her humanoid hands held the black long hair hanging from both sides of her head. And directly in front of her, a humanoid cocoon was wriggling restlessly. Ding, you have discovered the existence of a human, possibly the mayor's Doma. Please rescue the human as soon as possible. The system prompts like this. At this moment, the 6 eyes of the Spider Queen slowly opened, and the red eyeballs kept flipping on its back. In just a few seconds, he slowly walked straight ahead. The wriggling cocoon was the dinner prepared for her by my subordinates. Human flesh and blood are the most delicious supplements. It's been hundreds of years. How long has it been since I tasted the taste of humanity? It has been sealed here for too long. Beixi took out his pistol and, just as the queen was about to reach the cocoon-like object, fired a shot, hitting the queen's head. 100 damage emanates from the head of the Spider Queen. There are intruders. The Spider Queen lowered her head and saw a human standing at her entrance. Dare to disturb my king's food. A spit of silk spurted out. Beixi has long been guarded and evaded. Spitting silk into the air, spraying on the ground, but slowly corroding the ground. Spider Queen, boss level. Health of 673,520, possessing skills such as rapid spinning, suppression, rock burst, and transformation. Then a shot hit a corner of the cave wall. The Spider Queen didn't notice and kept moving and spraying silk on the spider web. Beixi continued to dodge, and the little wolf then jumped out and aimed at the Spider Queen with a steel blast. Countless needle-shaped objects made of steel aimed at the queen and hit her directly. Beixi continued to shoot at another corner. The Spider Queen did not cause any damage to the North Creek. In a fit of anger, he broke through the net and aimed towards the direction of the North River to suppress it. Beixi immediately uses jumping. But still unable to avoid being scratched, .300 injuries emerged from above. If this is suppressed, I will lose half of my life. And the mechanical wolf disappeared as soon as the queen jumped down. All summoning beasts have a time limit, and the basic mechanical beast summoned by intermediate summoning skills is the mechanical wolf, which has a duration of 15 minutes. The queen relentlessly pursued the North Creek, continuously spraying silk attacks. Beixi keeps moving and avoiding, using shooting to break through attacks. The distance between the two is only 2 meters. The queen has reached the pinnacle of anger. Transformation skills. A red glow began to emerge from his body. And Beixi and others are at this moment. A gloved hand emerged from the magic circle, and the North Creek approached the Spider Queen up close, gently patting her hand on the ground. Bombardment. All targets within a range of 1 meter, centered around oneself, are bounced off. And cause a 5-second dizziness state, blocking any attack from the target body. The strong airflow formed by the air bounced towards the queen in the transformation, blocking its transformation. Flip its massive body to the ground with a 5-second dizziness. 5 seconds is enough for Beixi to do a lot of things. Beixi continued to shoot at another corner of the wall, just as Spider Queen's dizziness was lifted and she wanted to turn over and jump. Beixi has finished shooting at the last corner. Then came the loud vibration of the cave, with boulders falling from above and hitting the queen's massive body. The Beixi River immediately moves away from the center of the cave. All of this happened in just a few seconds. When the dust settles, the line of sight becomes clear, and sunlight shines in from above the cave. The queen has been pinned down by countless boulders and cannot move. Beixi smiled, and now it's up to me to slaughter. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Subsequent tasks. You are listening at novel full.audio. The source has no content or has errors.